I remember the exact moment I first heard the good news. I didn't even think you guys knew each other. A friend of mine called early one morning to tell me he had finally met the girl of his dreams. He went on and on and on about how special she was. Then she called me and said the same thing about him. No, I'd love to hear one more story. Actually, I guess I'm a romantic at heart, and I've come up with a nice idea for this couple, which I know will wow them. They think they're coming to join me and 7 other friends for dinner, when actually they're going to arrive, I'll deke out for the night, and leave them to enjoy a fine romance all to themselves. The reason I love this meal is because it's both elegant and easy to prepare. The first course is our shrimp cocktail. I've poached and deveined jumbo tiger shrimp. I presented them in tall martini glasses filled with crushed ice, and then a small ramekin of our dipping sauce, which is grated horseradish root, crushed tomatoes. I've added salt and pepper to taste, and also some Worcester sauce. Easy to do. Also, a garnish is simple, just a small wedge of lemon, and I like to incorporate fresh herbs. So I'm putting rosemary, not a traditional seafood garnish, but I like the texture and the way that it makes the martini glasses look. I'll put them in the fridge and leave them to chill until our guests arrive. As you can see, things are starting to steam up with the preparation of our wild rice stuffing for the raw Cornish Game Hens. 4 cups of chicken stock has been brought to a boil, and I'm adding 1 cup of wild rice. I've made a homemade chicken stock, so therefore I also add 1 teaspoon of salt. I cover this and allow it to simmer for 45 minutes. On to the next portion of our stuffing. My skillet is on a medium-high, and I begin with a 1/4 cup of butter, which I'll allow to melt in the pan. To the butter, I add a 1/4 cup of chopped celery. Allow it to cook for a few moments. The celery has a lot of water, which is then imparted into the butter. And now I add a 1/4 cup of chopped white onion. I like to add the onion second so that it doesn't brown in the cooking. I want these vegetables to still be crisp, but almost translucent. Now comes some really fun ingredients that are going to add color and texture to our stuffing. Dried cranberries, and I add a 1/4 cup of dried cranberries. Dried apricots. You could also use fresh apricots. I like the dried apricots because they add, again, a nice texture to this recipe. Final element is sliced roasted almonds, and again, a 1/4 cup of almonds are added. As soon as you put nuts into a saute, it's just a great aroma will come up, and also a wonderful flavor. I thought a little bit of a citrus taste would also be good, so I'm adding the zest of 1 orange, and I want to give it a really good stir. You want to make sure that the orange zest blends well with all of the ingredients in the skillet. This is now sauteed for a little bit, and here's an optional item. I like to add 1 ounce of Cointreau. Cointreau is an orange liqueur. This is now blended well. I'll reduce it, turn the heat off, and all we have to do now is wait for our rice to cook. The rice is cooked, and I'll add it to our sauteed vegetables, fruit, and nuts. Stir it thoroughly to make sure that you see all of this rice and the fruit and nuts blended. But if you think it looks good, wait till you taste it. I'll now allow this to cool on the side and get our hens ready for stuffing. Raw Cornish Game Hens are tasty birds. I love them because you can present an entire bird or half, depending on someone's appetite. I picked these up this morning at the supermarket, and I've already run them under cold water, removing any excess feathers, and also trimmed off all of the excess fat along the edges of the cavity. I don't want a lot of fat on these birds. Now comes a messy but fun part, which is the actual stuffing of the birds. The stuffing is meant to be put in the bird loosely, but you still have to make sure that you get your stuffing all the way to the back of the hen's cavity. The nice thing about this stuffing is that it also works well with other poultry. You could use this for your Thanksgiving turkey, Christmas goose, how about pheasant, capon, even quail. Tying the hens serves 3 important purposes. The first is that it brings the drumsticks together, which prevents them from opening in the oven. Second, it also keeps all of the stuffing within the bird so that it cooks evenly. And thirdly, it allows me to work on my Boy Scout knots. Simply tie the birds with the string and then tuck over any flaps of the hens over the cavity of the bird. I've preheated my oven to 425 degrees, but one last touch for our hens before I place them into roast. I take 1 cup of fresh squeezed orange juice and 2 ounces of honey, and I'll just blend them quickly. Make sure that that honey is dissolving nicely in the orange juice, and I pour the orange juice and honey mixture over the hens, and I leave them uncovered and now in to be cooked. Okay, the hens are roasting, and I immediately turn the temperature of the oven down to 325 degrees. What this does is putting something in a hot oven and then turning the heat down, whatever you're cooking, it seals the skin and keeps the juices inside. And that goes for everything from poultry to a roast beef or even lamb roast, those types of things. I'm going to come back every 15 minutes with my baster and baste the hens with that orange and honey sauce. It's going to be wonderful and makes a nice coating on the outside of the birds. The vegetable dish I'm going to prepare to accompany the raw Cornish Game Hens is a simple stir-fry. And that's important because I'm not going to be here to do it. Even though I'm leaving instructions for my friends, I'll still take a few moments and show you how simple and easy this recipe is. Fresh vegetables are really important. Coarse chopped celery, bok choy, red, yellow, and orange bell peppers. We're also going to use fresh grated ginger, crushed garlic. 2 additional vegetables will also add some color. Fresh carrot and also parsnip. I like to get my carrots from the grocer with a leaf attached. I think that they're a better flavor. They're much sweeter. And now I'll chop the parsnip. It's a really lovely vegetable, and it imparts unique flavor to vegetable dishes as well. 2 tablespoons of sesame oil are heating in my skillet, and I'm adding 2 tablespoons of fresh grated ginger and 1 teaspoon of crushed garlic. It's about 2 cloves of garlic. The garlic and ginger is now sauteing, so I'll add the larger vegetables. The carrots and parsnips, and also the celery. I've added the bok choy, and now I'm putting in a little bit of the yellow peppers, red peppers, and orange peppers. And you'll immediately see how the colors of this vegetable side dish have come together. Red, yellow, orange peppers, orange carrots, white parsnip, green celery, and bok choy. It's a really wonderful bouquet of colors. 2 final touches. 2 ounces of soy sauce. That's going to give it a nice flavor. And finally, sesame seeds. They're going to add texture and an additional flavor to the stir-fry. 1 final stir, and you guessed it, this is perfect.